The story of hypersonic missiles begins not with noise, but with silence. High above the clouds, where the air is thin and the world below looks like a distant memory, a shape cuts through the sky at unimaginable speed. There is no warning, no roar of engines. Just a blurring object moving so fast that even radar barely sees it before it's gone. By the time defenders realize what's coming, it's already too late. This is the terrifying new reality of warfare, a world where weapons travel at more than 5 times the speed of sound, weaving through the atmosphere like sentient fire. A world where the first nation to master hypersonic strike power could dominate the entire globe. Welcome back to WarTech Frontier. Today, we step into the race no country can afford to lose. The race for hypersonic supremacy. Hypersonic technology isn't new. Scientists dreamed of it for decades. But dreaming and deploying are two very different things. For years, achieving stable hypersonic flight was like trying to ride a hurricane, impossible to control, impossible to weaponize. But that changed when militaries learned how to harness the power of atmospheric skipping, plasma sheathing, and next-generation thermal shielding. Now, missiles aren't just fast, they think faster than your defenses. They maneuver like fighter jets, they vanish off radar like ghosts. Imagine this. It's early morning. A radar operator sits sipping coffee, watching a quiet screen. Suddenly, a faint trace flickers just for a moment. He frowns, checks the calibration. Then the trace appears again, zigzagging across the edge of the radar. Before he can even radio his commander, the missile strikes. Traveling at Mach 10, cutting through the atmosphere like a blade dipped in lightning. That is the challenge hypersonics present. You cannot stop what you cannot track. There. 2 main types, changing warfare, glide vehicles and cruise missiles. Hypersonic glide vehicles launch atop rockets, then plunge back into the atmosphere, gliding across continents with deadly precision. They can change direction mid-flight, dive, rise, and weave like predators hunting their targets. Hypersonic cruise missiles, on the other hand, use advanced scramjet engines machines that gulp air at supersonic speeds and convert it into unstoppable thrust. Once ignited, they become streaks of fire too fast for traditional defenses, too agile for modern interceptors. Together, they represent a new class of weapons, neither ballistic nor traditional cruise missiles, but something far more advanced. Something built for a world where wars can be decided in minutes. The United States, China, and Russia are at the center of this race. Each has tested hypersonic systems that have sent shockwaves through the global military community. Russia unveiled the Vanguard, a glide vehicle capable of extreme maneuvering. China demonstrated the DF-ZF, a weapon that stunned analysts with its unpredictable flight path. The US is working on the ARRW, the HTV-2, and a range of classified systems designed to counter rising threats. But the cold truth is this. No nation is fully prepared to defend against hypersonic strikes. Traditional missile shields rely on prediction, calculating trajectory, and intercepting at the perfect point. But hypersonic weapons break the math. Their trajectories are fluid, alive. They don't just follow a path, they dance across the sky. They can skim the upper atmosphere, vanishing from sensors, then dive suddenly toward their target. They can approach from unexpected angles, flying low enough to slip under radar detection. When a hypersonic missile is launched, every second counts. A Mach 10, a strike launched from 2,000 kilometers away, can hit its target in about 10 minutes. At Mach 20, that distance shrinks to 5 minutes. There is no time for debate, no time for politics, barely enough time to breathe. But the danger goes beyond speed. Hypersonic weapons threaten to shatter the balance of global power. The world has spent decades building missile shields around cities, naval fleets, and borders. But those shields were built for the weapons of yesterday. Now, with hypersonic missiles in play, the entire defense architecture humanity relies on is melting away. Imagine a carrier strike group, a floating fortress defended by layers of radars and interceptors. Against conventional threats, it's nearly untouchable. But a single hypersonic missile, flying at low altitude, weaving through electronic defenses, could cripple it in minutes. Or a military command center deep inland. Protected, fortified, hidden, yet still vulnerable to a missile that can glide across continents, change direction mid-flight, and strike with pinpoint accuracy. This is why nations are scrambling to develop counter-hypersonic systems. Lasers, railguns, directed energy weapons, advanced satellite networks, each one a desperate attempt to catch a shadow moving faster than sound. But nothing is ready. Nothing is proven. And every test shows just how outdated current defense systems truly are. Yet, in the middle of this fear, something extraordinary is happening. Hypersonic technology is pushing human engineering to its limits. Material scientists are creating heat shields that withstand temperatures hotter than volcanic lava. Engineers are designing scramjet engines that operate in conditions no machine has survived before. Military planners are rewriting their entire doctrines around the reality of instantaneous, unstoppable strikes. We are watching the birth of a new era in real time. Some experts believe hypersonic weapons will make large-scale wars too risky, deterring nations from fighting. Others fear the exact opposite, that faster weapons will tempt leaders to strike first, before their enemies have the chance to react. Because when a missile can hit you in 6 minutes, hesitation becomes defeat. Militaries call this compressed decision time. A world where leaders must make choices faster than humans can think. A world where artificial intelligence may one day decide whether to intercept or retaliate, because no human mind can process the threat quickly enough. And that brings us to the deepest fear among strategists. The combination of AI and hypersonics. A missile that travels at Mach 15, that can evade defenses, that can think, predict, adjust, and outmaneuver countermeasures. A missile that learns that is not science fiction. Several nations are already experimenting with AI-assisted hypersonic guidance. If perfected, it will reshape warfare forever. As we stand on the edge of this new reality, one truth becomes clear. The next major conflict will not be decided by tanks or soldiers. It will be decided in the upper atmosphere, at impossible speeds, between weapons that blur the line between machine and lightning. Hypersonic missiles are not just tools, they are signals, warnings from the future. Because the battlefield is no longer a map of land and sea. It is a race between nations, a contest of speed, intelligence, and engineering brilliance. And the nation that wins the hypersonic race may control the next century. This is WarTech Frontier. And in the next episode, we explore another terrifying frontier of modern war. Autonomous killer robots, the machines designed to hunt, patrol, and eliminate without a human ever pulling the trigger. The future is approaching at hypersonic speed. And this is only the beginning.